Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Civil Life. In this video, I will starting the study material of BBM, that is Indian Contribution to Science. Now it is one of the longest study materials of BBM, which contains 19 chapters. So first of all, let's try to know how many chapters have to be covered for juniors and senior level differently. You can see here there are 19 chapters, and at last you can see the syllabus. Junior level have to cover chapter 1 to 7 and 9 to 12. So 7 and 9, 11, 12. So about 11 or 12 chapters have to be completed for junior levels, while senior level had to complete all the chapters, all the 19 chapters. Before starting this video, I'll have to tell you that I've already completed this study material earlier, last year. If you want to watch those videos, you can go to my YouTube channel in the playlist named Competitive Exams. So again we are starting this. So our first chapter is India's contribution to science and technology from ancient to modern. And one more important thing, I would want to know whether I will record the video in English language only or bilingual, because most of the students comment that they want video lectures in bilingual, that is in English as well as in Hindi language. So I will record according to that. So let's start. India's contribution to science and technology. So what India has contributed to the field of science and technology? It means what? Generally we are told about Newton, Einstein and many scientists from Western countries. But through these study materials, it has been trying to make you aware that there are many scientists of India who have contributed in the development of science and technology, about whom we are not aware. So the main motive of this study material is to provide information or to make you aware about those scientists. So advancement. Advancement in science and technology have been the major reason for development of human civilization. India has been contributing to the field of science and technology since ancient times. Even today, what we term as traditional knowledge is actually based on scientific reasoning. So from this paragraph, what we conclude that not only at this time, but India has been contributing in science and technology since ancient times. Since the civilizations were established, since then India has been contributing, Indian scientists have been contributing in science. And what we term today as traditional knowledge, that like different ways of what we adopt and the way in which we do some work are based on the scientific temperament, scientific theories that has been proposed by the ancient scientists. So first we will talk about pre-independence. Pre-independence means before independence, what was the scenario in science and technology? The history of scientific discoveries and development in India dates back to the Vedic era. So if you try to look at the initial point, it is Vedic era, in which Vedas were written. It is believed that ancient Indian scholars had developed geometric theorems before Pythagoras had made them popular. So we all are aware about Pythagoras theorem. But before Pythagoras theorems came to be used on a large scale, our Indian scientists had already discovered the geometric theorems which are needed to explain the Pythagoras theorems. Okay? The concept of squares, rectangles, circles, triangles, fractions, and the ability to express numbers 10 to the 12th power, algebraic formula, and astronomy have all had their origins in Vedic literature. So whatever we study in mathematics today have something to do with the initial Vedic era by the Indian scientists, be it square, rectangle, circle, triangles, and fractions, and many more things that we study in mathematics or in math branch are all related to the Vedic era and by the Indian scientists. Some are stated to have been known as early as 1500 BCE. You can see the dates here, 1500 before Common Era. The decimal system was already in use during the Harappan civilization. This is evident in their use of weights and measures. Moreover, the concept of astronomy and metaphysics are all described in the Rig Veda, an ancient Hindu text of the Vedic era. So it is very surprising that the decimal system was known in Harappan civilization, you can see. It is considered to be one of the oldest civilizations of the world. This is evident in their use of weight and measures, because what evidences have been found, it is seen that weights and measurement systems use decimal systems. And moreover, you can see that the astronomy and metaphysics are all described in Rig Veda. Rig Veda, which is the ancient Hindu text of the Vedic era. So from this paragraph, we came to know that the development of science by the Indian scientists is not new. It is linked to the Vedic era or very early ages. From the complex layout of Harappan towns to the existence of the iron pillars in Delhi, it is evident that India's indigenous technologies had been very sophisticated. They included the design and planning of water supply, traffic flow, natural air conditioning, complex stonework, and construction engineering. So, the layout of Harappan towns to the existence of iron pillars. So we all are aware about the construction of the Harappan civilization. If you have studied the structure or you have knowledge about the Harappan civilization, you must have studied that the Harappan civilization was very organized, like streets in a very organized way, rooms and place for bathing. So all those things were very sophisticated, and in the preparation and the manufacturing of those, indigenous technologies were used. They include the design and planning of water supply, that how water will be supplied in each and every houses of that civilization, traffic flow, and a natural air conditioning, that what will be the direction according to the flow of air, The Indus Valley civilization was the world's first to build planned towns with underground drainage, civil sanitation, hydraulic engineering and air cooling architecture. So Indus Valley, you have to remember this fact that which civilization was the first to build planned towns and underground drainage system. That it was very developed. From this we come to know that Indus Valley civilization is very developed, and moreover indigenous technologies, that is technology from our country, was used in Indus Valley civilization. While other ancient civilizations of the world were small towns with one central complex, the Indus Valley civilization had the distinction of being spread over a region about half the size of Europe. So this is very interesting that in ancient time, when we look at the other civilizations which were developing at the time of Indus Valley civilization, were very small and not as much complex and organized as Indus Valley civilization was. Just a minute. Weights and linguistic symbols were standardized across the past geography for a period of over 1000 years, from around 3000 BCE to 1500 BCE. So in every aspect, the Indus Valley civilization was above all the civilizations growing at that time, be it like in weights and linguistic symbols. When the first we see how we were able to express our ideas and talk to one another, language plays a very important role. So at the initial stage in Indus Valley civilization, many symbols were used to express our views, express our ideas. So in these things also science is involved. Now let's talk about water management. Water management. Water has been the lifeblood of most major civilizations. Crisscrossed by many great rivers, India is no exception to the rule. It is evident that without water, life will not exist. That is why it is called lifeblood of most of the civilizations. When we look at the development of civilization, we will find that most of these civilizations, or I would say all the civilizations, grew near water side. And India is no exception to this rule. Indians had been developing water management techniques even before the Harappan time. Before Harappan time, India developed many techniques to maintain the water management, because it is considered to be very important, precious resource. So wells, ponds, lakes, dams and canals have been constructed with advanced technology throughout the historic timeline of Indian civilization. So from that very period, wells, ponds, lakes and dams came into being. Throughout the historic timeline of Indian civilization, water has been used for storage, drinking and purposes of irrigation. So food is very important. So they created many different ways of storing water and using it for irrigation to produce crops. And it is estimated that even today there are more than 1 million man-made ponds and lakes in India. No, there are two types of lakes, like natural and man-made. So if we look at, if we roam around India, we will find that even today we have more than 1 million man-made ponds and lakes. Now, iron and steel. Iron and steel have literally been the pillars of modern civilization. Ancient India was pioneer in developing the technology of producing rust-free iron. This is very important. Now, questions might be asked from here. You have to study with focus. Iron plays a very important role in the development of industries or any civilization or anything. So iron and steel, when carbon is added to iron, it becomes steel. So in ancient India, we will find that there was a very amazing technique of producing rust-free iron. Iron usually gets rusted. But in ancient India, we find that there was a technique to make rust-free iron. And we have a very big example of this rust-free iron, which is the iron pillar situated in New Delhi. This metal from India was famous in contemporary Europe for sword making. So, for sword making, it was used. The famous iron pillar of Delhi is a testimony to the technology which is almost rust-free even today. So this is very amazing and surprising for the scientists, of even modern scientists, that how ancient scientists were able to make that rust-free iron. So investigation is still going on. Now, farming technique and fertilizers. Indian farming technology was mostly indigenously developed and was ahead of its time. Food is very important. For food, agriculture is done. In agriculture, fertilizers are important for good crops. So ancient farmers developed their own technology, developed their own fertilizers for their cropping. It included soil testing techniques, crop rotation, irrigation plans, application of eco-friendly pesticides and fertilizers, storage method for crops. So if we look at these techniques, we find that these are very important parts of modern cropping, modern farming. So these techniques were being used in the ancient time. This shows that in ancient time, civilizations were very developed, or farmers were very aware, or they were using scientific temperament, scientific techniques for producing their crops. Now it is physics. Now when we talk about physics, we start with the atom. So the concept of atom can be traced to the Vedic time. The material world was divided into 5 elements. This is very important paragraph. Question is asked every year from this paragraph. That in ancient time, it was said that the material world, the world we are living in today, were divided into 5 elements, namely earth, this Prithvi, fire, Agni, air, Vayu, water, Jal and ether or space, that is Akash. So it was considered it was supposed that the world, this materialistic world, is made up of these 5 elements. In Hindi, we call it as Panch Tattva. So Parmanu, that is beyond atom, was considered to be the smallest particle which cannot be further divided. Nuclear energy is produced today, splitting the same. So it was considered that the smallest particle is like Parmanu or atom, and beyond this it is impossible to break that Parmanu. So atom is indivisible. Now, medicine and surgery. Ayurveda. So Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. It's probably the oldest structured system of medical science in the world. Proper knowledge about various ailments, diseases, symptoms, diagnosis and cure is the basis of Ayurveda. Many scholars like Charak and Sushruta have made invaluable contribution to Ayurveda by inscribing in written form as found in ancient manuscripts. Very, very important. So Ayurveda means, the word Ayurveda is made up of 2 words, Ayur and Veda, in which Ayur means life and Veda means knowledge. That ancient people had knowledge about life. It's probably the oldest structured system of medical science in the world. So they had proper knowledge about what are the symptoms of some special type of disease, what can be the cure, and what preventions can be taken to avoid being affected by that disease. So this knowledge prevailed in the mind of the people of ancient India. And many other scholars like Charak and Sushruta have made invaluable contribution to Ayurveda by inscribing, and these steps, these techniques have been inscribed in the ancient manuscripts. You can still find them. Now, shipping and shipbuilding. This is also very important. Shipbuilding was one of India's major export industries till the British dismantled it and formally banned it. So before British came to India or made India a colony, shipbuilding was one of the major export industries in India. Most of the ships that were used worldwide were exported from India. When British came here, it banned the export of shipbuilding or ships to the worldwide. Medieval Arab sailors purchased boats from India. Even the Portuguese, instead of buying from Europe, also obtained their boats from India. Some of the world's largest and most sophisticated ships were built in India and China. This is very important. Question is asked that what were the different destinations, what were the places where sophisticated ships were made in ancient world. So it is India and China. These were the 2 places where ancient most sophisticated ships were built. The compass and other navigation tools were already in use in India much before Europe. In water or in boats and ships, the thing which is most important is compass and other navigation tools. So the knowledge about the compass and these tools were already in use in India before the before Europeans knew how to use compass and navigation tools, India was already using that system. Using their expertise in the science of maritime travel, Indians participated in the earliest known ocean-based trading system. Earlier, the trade system was only through oceans in ships. So India was participating from earlier than those of the European countries. Now we end the video here. This is the first part of this chapter. In the next chapter, we will be talking about how the science and technology has made different changes in India, that is post-independence. So far we have talked about the ancient science and technology before independence. So I hope you understood this episode very well, and if you have any doubt you can ask in the comment section. And I have already made the MCQ questions of each and every segment of this study material. You can go to my YouTube channel and find in the playlist. So meet me in the next video with the second part of this chapter. Till then, thank you so much.